This episode is brought to you by CollectorMount.com. Get those Blu-rays, DVDs, records, laser discs on your wall. CollectorMount.com. Use code LATEFEE25 for 25% off.
You know who I can do without? I can do without the people in the video store.
Which ones?
All of them.
This is Massive Late Fee with Mike and Mark.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. I'm Mark. With me, as always, is my co-host Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Not too bad. How about you?
Good, pretty good. We had a good little break. I hope all you guys enjoyed the best of episode that we put out. That was pretty fun, reliving a lot of the memories that we had. We've still got our contest going on. I want to let everyone know that by the time this comes out, I believe there will be only one more day in the contest, and we will draw the results live, or live for us anyway. It'll be 2 days delayed for you guys, but live on the air on next week's episode to see who wins the $100 Amazon gift card. I'll leave a link below this episode to enter, and as always, you can go on Twitter or our Facebook page and find entries there. Also, real quick before we kind of get into the meat of the show, we've started a sister podcast of sorts that's going to come out every Tuesday. It premiered today. It's called Retro Late Fee, and the conceit of that show is it's basically the same show that we do now, but 25 years in the past. And it stars me and my wife, girlfriend in the parlance of the show, Carol. And we are in January 1st, 1994. All the news, all the movies, TV, everything is from that period. We don't break character. We don't reference anything that's modern. We pretend as if we're recording it on January 1st, 1994. And that's all the information that we have, is anything that was available at the time. So it's a pretty fun show. We'll be doing that every week. That will come out every Tuesday, companion to this one, which comes out every Thursday. So check that out if you get a chance. It's on the same feed as our show. So basically, we'll just be doing 2 shows a week from now on. But with that all said, I guess we can get into the news. It's been a pretty slow news week, Mike, as expected, with the holiday and everything. But one of your favorite show, Stranger Things, released their release date for season 3. Season 3 is coming out July 4th, 2019. So I'm sure you're looking forward to that, Mike.
Oh yeah, I was hoping I'd ruin 4th of July, one of my favorite holidays, by watching that.
I saw an interview with the Duffer Brothers, who are the people that created the show, and they said that they'll likely get a 4th season, and that will probably be the last. So this season coming out, and then one more season, and they'll probably be done after that. It stars a bunch of kid actors, and I don't really think you can go much more than around 4 seasons with child actors because, time is a stalker of us all. But yeah, so that's happening on the 4th of July. The next bit of news, also in movie news, Todd McFarlane. You're familiar with him, right? The creator of Spawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hated 1997's Spawn, which obviously was a pretty big box office failure. And
It's not very good. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's really not good.
That's the one with Martin Sheen, right?
I don't remember. I know Michael J. White is he plays Spawn, he's actually, I'm surprised he's got more action stuff. He's pretty good action star. He's like a really big muscular guy, and he's pretty good at martial arts and stuff. But yeah, he plays Spawn, and John Leguizamo plays one of the bad guys.
Yeah.
I don't know a ton about Spawn, but yeah, it's not very good.
Yeah, I remember that. And John Leguizamo is just like a big fat disgusting character, right?
I think so, the clown or something.
Yeah, it was not good. But Yeah, that's the one with Martin Sheen. I'm almost sure where he's Martin Sheen is playing a psychopath, basically.
Yeah,
But
you could be right. I don't remember.
But so McFarlane is wanted to make a movie, a new version of Spawn for a long time, over 10 years, I think, and he's finally getting the chance because Blumhouse Productions they do all the horror like Paranormal Activity and Insidious and those types of movies. They've greenlit a project with McFarlane writing and directing it, and Jamie Foxx is going to star as Spawn. He's been campaigning for that for quite a long time as well, several years. And McFarlane spoke in an interview. I guess the film is close to wrapping, if not already wrapped. But his quote is, "There's no joy. There's going to be no fun lines in it. And it's just going to be this dark, ugly 2 hours worth of movie." So that sounds good.
I mean, they did like a series on HBO at one point. I don't know how good that was. It was like a cartoon series. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it could be interesting for the fans of the show at least, or comic at least. I just don't know, how popular it would be. But I mean, Jamie Foxx seems like a big time actor, so that's pretty good for them.
I think what this quote is supposed to be doing is contrasting it with like the Avengers or a lot of the Marvel movies, where he's basically saying it's not going to be like, it's not even going to be like Deadpool, which is subverts a lot of things that Marvel does, but is still fun. It's basically a comedy.
Right.
This is going to be dark, gritty, kind of like he's always envisioned Spawn to be. So, I think I agree. I think it sounds like, and when you have the creator of the comic who's being the writer and the director making it, you would think it sounds like it's going to be for the hardcore fans of the comic book. So I've never really read the comic. I've seen that terrible 1997 movie, but I haven't read the comic, so it's not really for me. I might see it. Depends. We might see it when it comes out. But yeah, I guess that's good news for hardcore fans, because I'm sure they didn't like what they got in '97.
Yeah, I can't imagine they did.
I saw the other thing that happened this week, as far as news goes, is I saw two trailers. The first one, they're both horror movies too. The first one is for Happy Death Day, the number 2 and the letter U. So I don't know if you've seen the first Happy Death Day or if you're familiar with it, but it's basically Groundhog Day, but it's a horror movie.
No, I've never even heard of
Basically, what happens is she wakes up in some stranger's dorm room. She's a college student. It's her birthday. She walks along campus and everything, kind of goes through her day. She ends up getting murdered by some masked killer at the end of the night. And then she wakes up in the guy's dorm room again, reliving the whole day over again. So basically, she has to keep dying until she figures out who the killer is and unravels the mystery, which she eventually does in the first movie. This one, it looks like they're upping things a little bit. I think she's taking damage each time she kind of dies, and so I don't know if how that's gonna go. It's funny because the first time I saw the trailer for the first movie, I thought this is an interesting concept for a horror movie, but they did exactly what I was afraid they were going to do, and there's no reason for a sequel to this movie. I know that it did pretty well in the theaters. I know it was popular, but this is not really a concept that it's going to be like Final Destination, which also was a good idea for a horror movie that they stretched into perpetuity.
Yeah, it seems kind of unnecessary.
The other trailer that I saw that I thought was pretty interesting, actually, is Jordan Peele's new movie, which is called Us. And in it, there's a family, mom, dad, and boy and girl, and they go to the beach. They're having a good time and everything. The boy kind of wanders off for a minute, and then the next night, there's these four people wearing like bizarre masks. It looks almost like their heads tied in a sack. And, there's all this crazy special effects with, speeding up and slowing down the frame rate to add tension and stuff like they do in a lot of horror movies. And then you see that they've taken on the appearance of the family and they're trying to kill the original family. So I guess it seems like it's like kind of a supernatural type thing. I also think that it's possible that one of the twists is that when that boy wandered off and came back, that wasn't their boy, but the evil boy.
I haven't seen the preview for either of those.
But it's to me, it's interesting, and I kind of want to see it. Jordan Peele did Get Out, and I love that movie. A very well directed movie. I think that he's certainly proven himself. So the second movie is always harder. Obviously, but there's a lot of more expectations that you need to live up to when it comes to making that second movie. But I'm definitely interested in seeing it. I guess it seems to me that it has to be supernatural-esque. I don't think it's plastic surgery or some kind of identity theft in a more mundane way. I don't know how they'd explain it if it was. But I'm interested to see that movie. I believe that comes out towards the end of this month.
I don't know why they don't just wait till like October for horror movies.
Yeah, and January has traditionally been the dumping ground for just absolutely horrible films. This is where they just put everything that they know is going to fail.
Huh.
So, I mean, I don't know that, but there have been exceptions to that over the past few years as the year kind of spreads out. More people watch movies more year-round than they used to. It used to be that the summer was a dead time for movies, which is kind of weird to think about now. But
right. I always heard that back in the 50s or 60s, it would be really popular because they have air conditioning.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
People did.
Yep.
Unless the movie Matinee has led me astray.
No, you're right. John Goodman and his films never lead anyone astray. Did you ever see, speaking of John Goodman's movies, did you ever see, what is the title of that movie?
King Ralph?
No, that's a great movie too. But it starred Gabriel Byrne from the Talking Heads. David Byrne from the Talking Heads. Gabriel Byrne was in The Usual...
Yeah, I was really confused there for a second.
Gabriel Byrne was in The Usual Suspects. But David Byrne from the Talking Heads, he wrote and directed a movie about this small town, and John Goodman was in it. It's actually a really good film. Let me see if I can find the title of it, because he hasn't written many, I don't believe. He's done the soundtrack for a lot of movies, though, which is making this a little harder. But let's see, director. Well, he has directed 11 movies. Oh, well, he's directed some music videos. True Stories, that's what it's called. Very good film. He basically plays David Byrne. I keep wanting to call him Gabriel. David Byrne plays sort of a narrator, where he's kind of going through this town and introducing us all to the different characters in this town. And John Goodman is one of the people in this town. I think you'd like it a lot. It's sort of off the beaten path, kind of eccentric type movie, but it's very good.
You know who did I looked it up as well. You know who did the music for the movie?
The Talking Heads.
The Talking Heads?
That's a shocker. It'd be funny if he just gave it to The Cure or something like that.
Yeah.
We want to hire this out. But speaking of terrible movies, well, that's a good movie. True Stories is a good movie. But speaking of the opposite, terrible movies, in today's Educating Mike segment, we are talking about the 1989 classic Teen Witch. Mike, I'm going to go out on a limb that you haven't seen Teen Witch?
I actually have seen this. My wife loves the movie, so I've unfortunately had to see it before.
Oh, I don't know if we should do it because we're supposed to be educating you. But let's educate the audience a little bit. Maybe you can help me out on this one a little because it's been a while since I've seen this film. But basically, one of the things I love about this film, and I'm using that with all the sarcasm in the world, is the opening is maybe the most 80s opening of anything I've ever seen. It's basically a music video. It's a dream sequence, but she's the Louise, the star of the film, is dancing with her crush in a red dress, and it plays a full length song, like 80s saxophone and synth pop, where she's dancing with this guy and everything, and then she ends up falling at the end, like some of us do in our dreams sometimes, and that's what wakes her up in the morning. But she is a high schooler who is a nerd, basically. Which is funny because it's one of those situations where she's an attractive girl, but she's a nerd because she ties her hair in a ponytail. So, I guess that makes you a nerd in any movie. But her best friend Polly has some of the biggest hair I've ever seen in the 80s. Just a giant black fro of hair. White fro. And Louise discovers, after seeing a palm reader played by Zelda Rubinstein from Poltergeist and several other films, that she is a witch and she will get her witch powers on her 16th birthday, which always seemed convenient to me, Mike, that she happened to go to that palm reader before her 16th birthday so she could figure this out.
Yeah, that's convenient.
But anyway, so she turns 16 and, all sorts of shenanigans and hijinks start to take place. She turns her brother into a dog. She starts using the powers to her advantage in not the nicest ways in the world. There's a great, and I don't know if you've seen this, there's a great kind of behind the music parody of the band that's in the movie, because there's a rap group in the movie, three guys that rap. In the parody, they call them Duditude. That's the band's name. But they rap a couple times in the movie, and probably the most infamous scene from this movie is they're doing a rap in the middle of the street, and Louise and Polly ride up on their bikes, and Polly kind of likes one of the guys, but she's intimidated by him and everything, and so Louise uses her magical powers to make Polly into a rapping superstar, and they rap this song called Top That, which is just, it's some of the most cringe-inducing thing I've ever seen in a movie. Did you find the same thing, Mike? It was hard to stomach, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't good. Weird time because back in the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of rap. We need to have a rap sequence and whatever it was.
Yeah, just about any movie that came out during that time period, they tried to put a rap sequence in there somehow.
Pretty much. Like the 1988 presidential inauguration, probably a rap in there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. That Dan Quayle, I'm sure had some fat beats that he was dropping. But have you ever seen that parody that I'm talking about with Duditude?
I think I did, actually.
It's pretty funny. But yeah, anyone that actually, I think wasn't it made by our good friend from that Adam Sandler movie that we did the commentary on?
I'm not sure. I don't remember it that well. I think you're right though. Yeah, Andy Samberg.
Yeah, from That's My Boy. Yeah, I believe he's the narrator of it. But
You
yeah,
know, there's a sequel.
no way, is there?
Yeah, there's a Teen Witch 2, I think.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to look that up. Does it star the same girl, or is it some other person that's starting becoming a witch when she's 16?
I'm not. Maybe I just made that. Maybe I think it's something else. 'Cause I just tried to look it up to see if it did have the same person, but I don't see a Teen Witch 2. I could have sworn there's a sequel.
Maybe that was the nightmare that you had after watching Teen Witch. You just dreamed a sequel.
Could be, or maybe that's what that video, that Duditude thing. You know how much Teen Witch made at the box office?
No.
$27,800.
Oh wow, that's pretty good. What was their budget?
Not sure, but it came out at the same time that Pet Sematary came out.
Oh, okay. Well, obviously it's going to lose to that.
One of the rare good Stephen King movies around that era.
Yeah. 2.5 million. That was their budget. That is a pretty big bomb. I like Robin Lively a lot, though. I'll tell you. And she's cute.
Oh yeah, Mark.
Yeah.
15 years old in that movie, I'd like to point out.
Was she? Well, I was like 10 when that movie came out.
Okay. You're not 10 now.
No, I'm not talking about her from that movie necessarily.
Oh, what other movies is she?
She wasn't 15. She was 17.
Oh,
I just looked it up. Oh, speaking of that, they've been talking about doing a Lizzie McGuire reboot. What do you think about that?
That's a weird transition. Speaking of what? Speaking of that, I'm not sure what that you're referring to.
For those of you that don't know, which is everyone in our listening audience, because this is kind of just a thing between me and Mike. Back in the early 2000s, when Lizzie McGuire was a thing, I kind of had this running joke where I I pretended to have a crush on her, even though I think she was probably, I don't know, like 14 or something at the time, and I was 21. But yeah, it tickled Mike to no end that I had a quote unquote crush on her. So I kept it up. I haven't
Hey,
seen, yeah.
did you see the Lizzie McGuire movie?
Yes, I did.
What channel was it on when you saw it?
Well, I saw it in the theaters.
Huh. That's quite the joke you're playing on me, huh?
Becky and I went to see it. Our friend Becky went to see it in the theater. I actually did like the show, though. That was the impetus of it. But she's Lizzie McGuire. Hilary Duff's had a decent career, I guess.
Didn't she marry a hockey player?
I don't know. In my mind, she never got married. No, yeah, I think you're right. I think she's married to someone.
Hey, didn't you also go see the movie Cody Banks at the theater because she was in it?
Wait, no, I didn't see that one in the theater. I did own the DVD. But I didn't see that one in the theater. I don't think I did anyway. Oh my god, that was what an era with Total Request Live and shit like that. The early 2000s, it was like a Wild West show. But no, I don't know. For whatever reason, I thought Even Stevens and Lizzie McGuire were good shows. Now, looking back on it, I was probably wrong. But I did like both of them for some reason. Shia LaBeouf has definitely proven that I was probably mistaken thinking that anything he was connected to was good.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen any of his movies. Like, isn't it like the Transformers or something like that? I don't know. I just have no. that appeals to me, even though I like the Transformer toys and show when I was younger.
I saw the first Transformers movie and then I was out. Saw that one and I said, this is the biggest pile of shit I've ever seen, and then I stopped. I didn't watch any more of them. And I saw the Indiana Jones 4 that he was in. Both were just
Oh, that was really bad. Yeah,
yeah, both were just terrible.
I heard there's a new robot in the most recent Transformer movie. Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to think, I don't remember what movie it was. Maybe it was Fear, the one that he was in with Reese Witherspoon. At some point, he had fooled me, and I said, I think Mark Wahlberg is actually a decent actor. Like, he's actually made the transition from music to acting, and he's decent. But every other movie I've seen him in, he's the worst. He is such a bad actor.
Have you ever seen The Happening?
Oh yeah.
We should do a commentary for that one time. That is
Oh
so
god.
bad.
Yeah. You know,
Nothing in that movie is good.
my wife likes that movie.
I'm sorry.
I know. I can't. I cannot figure out why. I don't understand. I it leaves me speechless how she can like the movie on any level. But
I think it's entertaining, just like in the way that it's funny because it's so terrible. But yeah, it's I don't understand nothing in that movie at all, as far as I can tell.
and you know, there are times when it seems almost like, okay, it's intentional. He's like intentionally making a B movie almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
But I don't think he was. I think that's
No, I don't think so.
I think that's an excuse that they used afterwards after everyone hated it so much. I think he was just like, he thought he was saddled with two bad actors, and he is generally not a great director. It's weird because he's made some really good movies, a few, and he's made some absolutely terrible films. So figuring out M. Night Shyamalan is really difficult.
That's the real twist. How's the movie gonna end up?
Right? It's the trees. Oh God.
Yeah, I don't. It's like he like was trying to think of an ending for the longest time. He's like, freeze. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. No, seriously. And there's just, oh my God, the movie is, I can't explain it. I can't explain why anyone likes it. And my wife doesn't even like it in an ironic way where she's like, oh, this is so funny how bad this is. She just enjoys it.
Yeah, there's parts where it seems like it could be almost like a fun movie, like, oh yeah, we're going on a crazy adventure, but no, it's just not.
Yeah, I do not get it at all.
It's like we're going on a crazy adventure to put the family dog to sleep.
That's a very good analogy. But our sponsor this week, once again, is Collector Mount. Collector Mount is introducing a new DVD movie Blu-ray mount. With the Collector Mount products, you can now mount it all. You can now display movies, DVDs, Blu-rays, magazines, trading cards, albums, comic books, CDs, books, and video games. There are 5 different mounting options to choose from. The DVD movie Blu-ray mount is a clear adjustable frame display system. You can get those movies up on your wall and onto any flat surface, as it can be used as either a wall mount, which is adjustable, or a shelf stand. It's the perfect display option and also pops your collectible off the walls, driving a cool 3D effect in the design. It's invisible, it's easy to install, it's adjustable, and it's affordable at just $4.99. You have to check these out. Obviously, we've had Collector Mount on the show before. I'm always excited to talk about Collector Mount. I think they have one of the best products out there. As we've said before, you know, all the Blu-rays, the DVDs, the albums, laser discs, comic books, you know, a lot of that stuff just ends up in a closet. And, you know, there's great artwork and great pictures on that, and putting them together on your wall, in your man cave, in your she shed, in your hobo shack, or whatever it really transforms a room, and it really sets it apart from other types of rooms. They look great. And $4.99. I mean, they are. You definitely want to check these out. If you use our code for our listeners only, late fee 25, you'll get 25% off even that low price of $4.99.
What?
And I know, Mike, that you're going to be ordering some soon, right?
Yeah, my wife got me the RT versus Predators for Christmas, so I'm gonna get at least one to mount the mulch shopping one.
That is that cover is one of the best covers I've ever seen. But
Yeah, it's much better than the comics, apparently.
but yeah, mounting, having those up on the wall, it's a conversation starter. It's and you'll have to tell us once you get it and mount it up. You'll have to tell us, how it works and how you like it. But
If you get it, send us a picture of what you mounted.
yeah, absolutely. Anyone out there that gets one of the collector mounts, tweet or send us a picture, and we'll tweet it. We'll put it up on our Facebook. Show us what you mounted out there. You can send it to massivelatefee@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at massivelatefee, or go to massivelatefee on Facebook. You know where we are.
We might want to be a little more specific. What you mounted using collector mount.
Yeah, that's true. We don't want to see any horrifying human trophies on the wall, because our Bill, who is the owner and operator of Collector Mount, someone I've spoken to before, has assured me that this product is not for mass murderers.
Yep.
So collectormount.com for all those great mounts, and you will not be disappointed. Let's move on to our main topic today, which is the internet phenomenon known as Black Mirror's Bandersnatch. I guess it's a movie or an episode. It depends on which ending you get, which ending you choose, how long this thing lasts. My wife and I watched it. The first time that we went through it, we got kind of caught in somewhat of a loop. And we were, it might have been around an hour and a half or so, so it was certainly more like a movie to us. For those of you that don't know, and I think pretty much everyone does because everyone's talking about it, this is an experiment that Netflix and Black Mirror have taken on, where it's a choose-your-own-adventure movie. And the choose your own adventure conceit is also kind of built into the movie, because the main character of the movie is making a choose your own adventure video game based on a choose your own adventure book. So it all it's very meta. It all relates back to that conceit. If there's anyone that could do this right, I would think it's Black Mirror, because Mike, I don't know if you've watched anything else of Black Mirror. There are some Easter eggs for other Black Mirror episodes in this movie. But Black Mirror it's a little Twilight Zone-y, and it's very good. There are some episodes that are better than others, but it's kind of a spiritual successor to the Twilight Zone, and I love it. So if there's anyone that could do this, it would be them, and I don't think they succeeded. I'm having a hard time with it, but I don't think they did. Let's give our general impressions, and then we'll kind of get into spoilers. What did you think of it overall?
I thought it was all right. The one I watched I got like hit in a loop a couple times, ready to go back. Like It's choose your own adventures. Like you really can't choose whatever you want, because some paths will just like end immediately and that sort of thing.
Right.
I thought it was all right. I mean, the visuals were interesting. I mean, the idea of it. I mean, I've kind of always wanted it, and we've always heard like the threat / prediction that all media will eventually become that sort of thing.
Right. I'll tell you what I liked about it. It's definitely a good idea. I like kind of the main story structure of it. I thought a lot of the choices were interesting. It's and there's a lot of there is a lot of stuff to explore in this. You could obviously you can rewatch this and choose different things many times. Um, but there's a hidden video game. Like you can play the video game that one character is creating, Nosedive. You can actually play that, and I'm not sure exactly what the sequence is to trigger this ending, but you can get to an ending where instead of putting the tape in that he puts at the beginning, he puts in a cartridge of the game that he's making, the Bandersnatch game, and it plays this almost like dial-up type noise, which if you run it through, I don't even know what it's called. People that know a lot more about technology are the ones that figured this out. But some kind of emulator, it creates a code that has a little symbol on it that shows up in the movie. And if you take that to the website and put that in the website, it unlocks a secret part of the website. So they got very detailed and everything with this. So, it's definitely interesting on that level. The thing I didn't like about it is it gets a little boring at times because it's so hard, especially if you want to watch it again, you kind of have to start over at the beginning again. And I think it would be better if there...
Yeah, I think it actually erases like your previous choices if you started over.
Yeah. And I think it would be better if there was a way to kind of do it chapter by chapter where like each chapter is a decision point so that it would make it a little easier and faster for people with obsessive personalities like me that want to go through all the different decisions and see kind of all the different endings. So that's one thing that I would change about it is that. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good. My wife got a lot more bored with it than I did. But I guess we'll get into spoilers. I'll tell you which ending I got. So when we went through it the first time, and I went through it a couple different times to get some different endings just to kind of see. But when we went through it the first time, like definitively, we got to the point where he sees his mom because he's a kid again. And like he goes back in time, basically. He's a child again, and he finds his rabbit, and she asks if he wants to go with her. And my wife decided to choose yes. And I was like, really? You're going to choose yes? Because you know what happens to the train. So he chooses yes, and or we chose yes, and he ends up, you see him on the train, and then he ends up dying, and then he dies in the present too in his therapist's office. Like he just up and dies, basically because he died in that other reality as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I get that. That was one of my endings as well.
What did you do? Any other ones? Did you get any other endings?
Let me think. I had some that had to swing back. But the problem about that one that you're specifically talking about is I don't think that's because the reason that his mom was killed was because she was late because she was trying to look for the bunny. So if he finds the bunny right away, then she's not late, correct?
That I would assume so. I mean, I guess basically what they're saying is she was going to be late either way. Like it was just her fault. She started out too late to catch that the train that she wanted to catch. I guess that's what they're trying to say. But yeah, I don't really get that one that much either. But yeah, I guess that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just very odd. I thought, like, I guess it's a way of the dead to protect you. I don't know why he would blame, like, oh, it was your fault that the bunny when it was really, oh, she was just late. So obviously this kid had like a really fucked up childhood just because either his dad lied or his mom was just like fucking around on her way to the train.
Yeah, and it's I guess another one of the things is, and obviously we're in spoilers, so I'm not really going to this is a hard one to break down the entire plot line of the thing, so we're not really going to do that. But, so if you should have seen this if you're in the spoiler section. But I suppose because there are several different endings, and I guess sort of like Colin, explains to him. Did you get to that point where like
Yeah.
you go back to Collins and you take the acid and everything?
Oh yeah.
So I guess like he explains they're all equally true, but they're all, kind of not true too, because they're all true in their own reality, but they're not all true together, because there's one ending where Stefan finds out that his entire life has been some sort of scientific experiments. The
Yeah, I got that one too.
the quote unquote PAX ending, where his dad has been monitoring him the entire time, and his mom never really died because it was all just a set. Um, and obviously that's not the same reality as going on the train. You would think that both those can't be true, but then he dies in one reality, but he also dies in the other reality, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me either.
No. Yeah, I mean, the gimmick is obviously a big attraction of this. I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily like a great story that we have. I don't know. I haven't explored it really. I don't know that I care that much too. I think there's like obviously there's the elements you could use to make a really interesting thing out of this. Like, I mean, I like see like after Colin like jumps. That's what I had him do at least. I imagine I'd be reset if I had jumped.
Yeah.
And then after he jumps, like maybe he shows up later and it's like like nothing happened or something like that. I mean, that'd be kind of interesting, but that was a dream. And then he goes and Colin's like in one of my versions, he's like, "Oh yeah, Colin's been out for a while. We haven't seen him." I'd like to see where that could have gone. I think I just would have more just like an actual, not just choose your own adventure, just like a linear tale, because you can tell right from the beginning that they were making like you're obviously controlling the character and he's going to start kind of like perceiving that. I just kind of felt that was right off the get-go. I kind of saw where it was going with that at least.
Right. Yeah, there's an interesting one. I think there's a way, if I remember correctly, for Colin to show up later, even after the jump. Or no, what happens is Kitty shows up, his wife, and you get arrested for murder. I think you can kill her too. And yeah, there's a lot of different ones you can you can kill the dad, you can kill Kitty, you can and like then there are different ways for the game to come out or not come out. There's one version where the game is never released, but Colin's daughter, the baby that we find, years later finds it at the copy of the game and decides to reboot it, and it's almost like she's making the Netflix movie that you're watching right now.
Yeah, I read about that one too.
So yeah, it's there are no happy endings, really. I mean, there's no.
But I got one that was kind of fun. Like it was the one where like you choose your symbol and you choose Netflix.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then you go to the therapist's office and you're like, "Oh fuck it," and you just basically like it becomes like a comic like action movie at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's pretty fun. And then he screams that he fucked up her whole day, he and his friend from the future.
Yeah.
And then there's if you choose to jump out the window in that scenario. I don't know if you saw that one, but it basically the camera just backs up and you're on the set of the movie like they're shooting, an actual movie. And instead of calling him Stefan, like the director comes up and calls him Mike, I think it is. And she says, "Mike, what are you doing?" And he goes, he's all confused and everything. He goes, "I was going to jump out the window." And she goes, "No, this is where you have the fight scene. See, it's in the script." And she goes, "Mike, are you feeling okay?" And he says, "Stefan, my name's Stefan." And she goes, why don't you sit down? And like she starts walking away and she's like, "Can we get some paramedics down here?" But yeah, so that's, a lot of them are meta endings. Some of them are more, I would say, the most Black Mirror-ish ending is the one where you choose as a little boy to go on the train and then he dies. That to me, that's probably the most Black Mirror-esque ending of all of them. But yeah, it's fun in a way where you can kind of choose, almost like different genres a little bit. Like you said, with the Netflix one, it gets very like silly and actiony and stuff like that. And then there are ones that are a little more sci-fi. It was definitely interesting for me to go through and to kind of go through different scenarios and different endings. And I think it's an interesting idea. I just think I think there are I think this is a thing that there can be a future in. Obviously, not all of this can't be all of media. I don't think anyone would put up with this taking over how we usually watch things. But I can see scenarios where, as one-off episodes of different shows or a movie here and there, where this might be able to gain a tiny bit of a foothold on Netflix, but I think they'll have to modify things a little in order to make it more interesting and a little more user friendly.
Yeah, I heard that they were doing a lot of like interactive movies for kids, and that's kind of what they used for the idea for this. But yeah, I don't know. It was all right, but I really don't care enough about the basic like plot to explore all the other endings. I just don't care. I don't think I'm going to watch it again. Essentially,
And to me that's the other difficult part about doing this is, and like you to kind of piggyback off the point that you were talking about with the kid stuff. My daughter has watched the Puss in Boots one, which is a choose your own adventure. It's obviously a lot simpler than this is. And she liked that a lot. And then my son likes Minecraft a lot. And there's a choose your own adventure Minecraft one that came out maybe a couple months before the Black Mirror one did. So yeah, I can definitely see that. But the other thing is I found it difficult to really connect with the story. I sort of connected with Stefan because that's our point of view character, but I didn't really feel a lot of connection with anyone else in it, and I'm not sure if it was because of the writing or if it was because of just how the story's built, because you kind of put yourself in Stefan's shoes since he's the one you're making all the decisions for. And there was nobody that was really I think a lot of it is the writing, because there was no one that was really close to him or pulling to him. He didn't like his dad. His dad, didn't really, his dad seemed like he cared, but his dad wasn't super affectionate or anything like that. He didn't have a girlfriend. He didn't have like a best friend. There was no one really kind of, emotionally connecting to him. And I think that was one of the problems too. If I was more emotionally invested in the characters, I might be more interested to explore the different ways that it could end.
yeah. I mean, it was like obviously like it was an interesting gimmick, but I didn't think. I'm not a huge Black Mirror fan, but there's some I really like the one where like the Star Trek like parody one, that I thought that one was pretty good. There's a few other ones that I've liked, but yeah, I mean, it was okay, but I think
Yeah.
to watch this for.
Yeah, you know, like I said, there are some endings that are, I guess, quote, happier. Like if Stefan takes the pills that he's given, then he finishes the game and the game's like considered okay, basically. But not great. I think it gets 2.5 out of 5 stars or something like that. It's not really a success. As they say, it feels like he just went on autopilot after the beginning. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, it's basically kind of sending the message like, hey, those psychotropic medicines that you take, they do kind of really even you out, and you're not as creative or good, are you?
Was the Church of Scientology involved in the production of this movie?
Right. But yeah, it's like it's a weird message to send. But at least you don't kill your dad or end up in prison or anything like that. But yeah, that's one of the endings. But that's kind of, some of the endings that are considered more happy or whatever, like you said, they're almost like dead end endings where, you do it and then it immediately ends. and it's like, oh, okay, you're done. you know, um, and the more interesting endings, or the more depressing endings, are the ones that take longer to get to. But yeah, I've been struggling all week to kind of figure out how I felt about the show, and I see good and I see, stuff that's not as good in it. I would have to probably, I mean, to me it's boring, but it's probably middle of the road as far as I'm concerned. I think if you haven't seen it and you're interested in checking it out, I think it's worth your time to check out. But, like Mike said, you may go through once and, and you'll be done with it at that point.
Yeah, I was definitely done with it at that point.
Yeah, that's how my wife felt about it too. But yeah, that is our episode for the night. Happy New Year, Mike. Happy New Year, everybody out there. I forgot to say that at the
Happy
top.
New Year.
As always, if you're interested in following the show, you can follow us on Twitter at Massive Late Fee, Massive Late Fee on Facebook. If you have a question or a comment, you can email us at massivelatefee.com. And I think that's it. Do we have any other? Oh, Bandcamp. If you want to listen to any of our audio commentaries, you can go to bandcamp.com/massivelatefee. And our Patreon is patreon.massivelatefee.com. And I'll link all that below, obviously. I want to thank Jason for our themes. I want to thank Collector Mount for sponsoring the episode. And I want to thank. We got another Patreon. RJ is our new Patreon, Mike.
Nice.
Yeah, that's exciting. So yeah, that's our episode. Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.
See you next time.